for serving that
Turkey buggers.
For the trial and error.
Okay, we're live now.
And also big voices.
Yeah.
There's no mics. Hello and welcome to today's political forum featuring the California Senate District 5 candidates vying for the seat vacated by Senator Kathleen Galgiani, who's terming out. Here for today's forum, from your left, Manny Grewal, Modesto City Council member, Susan Eggman, State Assembly member, Kathy Garcia, of the Stockton Unified School District, and Jesus Andrade, a member of the Stockton City Council. A fifth candidate, former Modesto Mayor Jim Ridenauer, declined our invitation to attend. Each candidate will have a minute for an opening statement and a minute for a closing statement. In between, they will be asked questions of the Modesto Bee's editorial board, led by opinions editor Garth Stapley. This will be the first of the Bee's 7 candidate forums and or debates over the next few weeks. The primary is March 3rd. Mail-in ballots go out early February. And let's get started.
Very good. We'll start with Manny Grewal. Your opening statement, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to the Modesto Bee to get this opportunity. So I'm running for Senate District 5. Currently, I serve on the Modesto City Council. My top 3 priorities, if given the privilege of serving in the California State Senate, is to make life better for hardworking families, middle-class families, people that are commuting 2 to 3 hours on a daily basis to the Bay Area, bringing those good-paying jobs to this region. Public safety is another thing that's very important to me, keeping our families safe, keeping our children safe. I'm humbled by the fact that I have the endorsement of the Police Officers Association, multiple Police Officers Association, and PORAC, and both of the sheriffs in the district. Also having the endorsement of Senator Kathleen Galgiani, who's been a staunch advocate for agriculture, business, and public safety. That's very important to me, and those are the things that I would focus on if I had the privilege of serving in the state Senate. My family, my parents have been here since 1972. I've been born and brought up in the Modesto area, and it would be an honor and privilege to serve the residents of Senate District 5.
Very good. Susan?
Thank you very much, the Modesto Bee, for having us all here today. My name is Susan Eggman. I serve in the State Assembly, as you mentioned. I'm from Turlock, graduated from Turlock High, and when I graduated, didn't have a whole lot of purpose. I came from an agriculture farming family, hardworking family. My mom's family immigrants from Mexico. My dad's family's coming up out of the Dust Bowl, and so I knew it was my responsibility to do better. I went to the United States military. I did 4 years, and that started my lifetime of service. When I got out, started getting my bachelor's degree at Stanislaus State back in Turlock, worked as a drug and alcohol counselor, and then got my master's degree in social work and worked as a hospice social worker. You sit with a lot of people as they're dying. You learn a whole lot about living. From there, I went on and got my PhD in social work and social research. Worked in mental health. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. And then decided to run for the Stockton City Council, because at some point we have to stop complaining about how things are and do something about making things better. It has been my honor to serve. I will continue to serve. My issues are always about improving lives for everyday people, to bring dignity, to break down barriers to dignity, and create pathways.
Very good. Kathy Garcia?
Thank you. Thank you for having us. I feel very privileged to be here amongst these great people. I was born and raised in Minnesota. I'm a big Vikings fan, and I'm going through mourning right now that they lost their game. I'm a mother of 8. I have 16 grandchildren. I go broke every Christmas, but I love it. I love going to the schools. I'm on the Stockton City School Board, and I've been the president. This is my 3rd time in 8 years. I set history. Since 1852, nobody has been on the school board 3 times in their term. I love going to the schools. I like it when the kids go, Mrs. Garcia, hello. Christmas time, I collected shoes for the little kids who wear their big brother's shoes and they don't fit. Thank you again.
Thank you. Jesus Andrade.
All right, well, thank you to Modesto Bee for the opportunity. You said it, my name is Jesus Andrade. I'm a Stockton Council, a city council member. And I represent the south part of the city, which is where I grew up. I am a son of hardworking Mexican immigrants who established a small agricultural harvesting business back in 1990. And so we've done a lot of work across the valley for decades, harvesting crops up and down the Central Valley. I am happily married. My wife, she's an intelligent, beautiful woman that works for affordable housing. I'm a father of 4. I'm running to end the one-party rule in Sacramento and also to establish new political leadership here in the Stockton-Modesto area. Since I've been on the council, I've worked on things that matter to voters from both sides of the aisle, homelessness and housing, public safety, bettering the economy, access to health care, things that are bread and butter, tabletop issues. And when I'm in the Senate, some of the things I want to work on is homeless sheltering, making sure Prop 13 stays the way it is, and also making sure that we reform some zoning laws or allow municipalities to reform some zoning laws to allow housing as well as TICWA.
Very good, thank you. We will rotate who begins the next answer. And so Susan, you'll go first this time. Some of you already made reference to your top priorities. Please list your number 1 and what you might do about it. Susan.
I don't think we can talk about anything anymore if we're not talking about homelessness and mental health issues. I have done work on Laura's Law. I'm the Stockton City Council, and we started a task force for homelessness, and now at the state level. We must do more. I had an aunt that lost her life with mental health issues living on the streets, so it is very personal for me. But we have legislation going forward right now looking at the 5150 criteria, because we know when we hospitalize people for 3 days right now, that is often not time enough. They need that 2 weeks time. I liken it to we used to do with our forests. We used to clear cut our forests, and then we went to a place where we didn't do anything. We used to lock everybody up who had mental health issues, and we went to a place where we're not serving people with dignity right now. So I think homelessness, and especially as it relates to mental health, will be one of my top priorities.
Excellent. Kathy.
Homelessness, but I want to really look at the elderly people who are walking down the streets pushing a cart. When you're 60 and 65 years old, we need to take care of you, not give you another cart or a bigger cart. Besides that, I really want to see all-day kindergarten. I want to push that because these kids are not getting what they need.
Okay, very good. Jesus.
All right, so in addition to homelessness, I think the other part of the equation is housing. We are all experiencing a housing crisis all up and down the state. I don't think there's a community of big population community that's not experiencing the shortage, especially it's more acute here in the Stockton-Modesto area with the pressures that we're facing from the Bay Area migration over to this side of the valley. It's increasing rents, it's in construction slowdown, especially in the Stockton area. And so housing is a big component for me, and how do we increase the supply? I think we have to have all types of housing. We have to have single family, multifamily, affordable housing. Although affordable housing become very expensive to build per unit, we have to find a way of reforming that. I don't know exactly if it's a municipality thing, if it's a state thing, but it's something that I think the next state senator and the legislature for that matter should look into. We have to have adequate supply. I think we needed about 180,000 units per year up until 2025 to be built, and this last year we only had 80,000 units being built across the state. And so it's only exasperating the issue. So housing and homelessness is going to be one of the big issues I work on.
Very good. Your top priority, Manny.
Thank you. I agree with everything they brought up, but one of the things that's very important to me is strengthening our middle class. I believe right now, respectively, when Stockton and Modesto are number 1 and number 2 in the nation when it comes to the longest commute times, that has an effect on quality of life, that has an effect with people being able to spend time with their families. And those good paying jobs, when people are traveling 4 or 5 hours, they're on the road, those jobs need to come to this region, whether they're through agribusiness, whether they're through getting other companies that people are going to in the Bay Area locate here. Our real estate is cheaper, there's more opportunities here, we are getting a strengthened workforce here, and we need to allow them to work in the region that they reside in. I think it's all encapsulates a lot of things when people are commuting, kids coming home to empty households, parents not being able to spend time with their children, leads to crime, leads to other issues. So I think strengthening our middle-class families is the number one priority that I'd like to address if given the privilege of serving.
Very good. Since so many of you talked about homelessness, we're gonna shorten this answer. We'll call it a follow-up, so make it about half the size. And just tell us if you agree with the governor's approach to the idea of mandating that cities and counties do something about their homeless. We'll start with Kathy.
Yes, I do agree to it, but we need to separate our homelessness. Are they homeless because of mental illness? Are they homeless because they want to be homeless? Are they homeless because they can't afford any place else? But let's take the older generation out of that homelessness. We need to take care of our homelessness. I don't care if it's city, county, or state.
Very good. Jesus.
So I read that earlier today. The way these recommendations come, I don't. I think it's one of those empty mandates that won't be funded or don't come with funds. And as a Stockton City Council member, I just can't picture where in the budget we would have to cut, this public safety services to be able to house and build these structures. So I think for me, it's a stance. I just want to hear more. I just know that creating mandatory prices like that without the funding tied to it is just a non-starter for me.
Very good. Manny?
I think with homelessness, the governor has taken the right steps, obviously allocated funds for this, but it's also a partnership between the state, the county, and the city. And we really feel that we're answering it head on here in Stanislaus County with focus on prevention. And two words that really come to mind when I think of homelessness is accountability and deliverables. You know, the money's being spent, how is it being spent? Are you having people now going into transitional housing? Are you taking people out of the revolving door of homelessness? And that's what we should really focus on and address. And I'm proud of the fact that when the governor assigned this homelessness task force, the first meeting was here in Modesto to see what we're doing here in this area.
Yeah, I mean, the governor just released his budget and then came out with he is going to make this a focus. I mean, I think like everybody is saying, we have to make this a focus. And it has to be in partnership with cities and counties. The state can only provide the funding and the direction, but cities and counties actually have to do the implementation. So I think we're in very early stages of the mandates, but everyone knows NIMBYism exists and the frustration with not getting things built. And as has been stated, we need all forms of housing. We need the triage, we need inpatient, we need wraparound, and then we need a place for people to move into. So the more housing stock that is built, the more it frees up the lower income thing. So I support he is taking this on head on, that he is going to be the homeless czar, and it's going to make things uncomfortable, but it's uncomfortable for all of us when we see the crisis on the streets.
All right, we'll start with Jesus on this question. Is it a problem that so many people are leaving California? And if so, what should be done about it?
It is, and I think what people don't realize is that the majority of people that are leaving California are the working class, or those that are working, that folks think it's the big businesses, which they are, or the higher earner families that are moving, but it's really the middle class, and I think that's sad. I think a hollowed out middle class in California is dangerous. This is the workforce. We are the ones that purchase homes. We are the ones that have our children in schools. We're the tax-paying base, and so that's an issue. Those that are moving in are the $100,000 and plus earners, and they're moving to the coast. But I think you see it a lot more here in the Central Valley. I think it's a middle class issue. I think Sacramento has forgotten about the middle class. I think they're worried about taxing the ultra rich and really supporting just low income. But the middle class is the workhorse. And I support low income. I think the rich do their part, but I think the workforce has been forgotten in Sacramento, and that's something I want to bring to the table in Sacramento, is the middle class.
Yes, that is a big concern. That's one of my biggest concerns and why I'm running for this office. Over-regulation is killing jobs. Businesses are leaving this state. Over-taxation is killing the middle class. If we're going to tax people, there has to be objectives and reason for those taxes, because the people that we're squeezing when we raise taxes are the middle class. And crime is having younger families, deterring them from raising their family in California. I made that decision, but not a lot of people have that opportunity because people want to be in an environment where they feel safe, they feel that their children are going to be safe. And those are the things, three things that we have to address to make sure not only are people leaving California, but how do we bring people into California?
Susan?
Is it a problem? It is always a problem when people are leaving, but I think it's a symptom, right? So I think we have to look at cause and effect. So that is why I have been very focused during my time on the council and then in Sacramento on trying to address things that really address how do we improve quality of life. One of them is access to education. In my assembly district, we have 4 state prisons. We don't have 1 public university. This year, we got $2 million in the budget to assess where should the next 4-year university be. I'd also like to see we transition. New big jobs are coming in. I used to hear we don't have the high-paying jobs. Now I hear we don't have the workforce for it. So education, getting a new university into the area. And then the other thing is around being able to move people from where they live to their jobs. I authorized 2 years ago the Valley Link that will connect at Lathrop, the ACE train, all the way over the Altamont into the BART station. We have over 80,000 people commuting every single day. I suggested we take some of the money from the high-speed rail, hold off on electrification, and then be able to come back later to do that if we need to, but to be able to use that money right now from cap and trade funding to be able to move people out of their cars and across that Altamont to address issues like quality of life.
Ditto, everything she just said, that is wonderful. Education, if these kids aren't in school, they're not getting educated. So the last 2 years, we've had groups of 60 or more staff people going out and knocking on doors. How come you're not in school today? Oh, my mom said I could stay home. No, you can't stay home. You need your education. This is the most important thing there is.
Very good. We'll start with you this time, Manny. 1 minute answers. And we're going to talk a bit about trains, like Susan just brought that up. What's your position on the high-speed rail and the ACE extension?
Yeah, the ACE extension, I mean, we're really looking forward to it being connected here in Modesto in 2023 and starting, because just like Assemblymember said, 89,000 people leaving the region for work every day. We need to make it more efficient and more effective for them. The high-speed rail, we really have to look. I know the governor's expanded to at least some parts of the valley. We just have to see what are the major traffic thoroughfares? Where are destination points that people are going? Are people going to Bakersfield? If it is, then do we need to invest that? Or are people going to the Silicon Valley? I see right now from this region, everybody's going to the Bay Area. So our funds should be spent on places where the most people will benefit the most from. And right now I feel it's from the Bay Area. That's why I'm wholeheartedly supporting the ACE extension into the BART station to allow people to get there in a timely manner, get back to their families so they can spend that time with their children in their neighborhoods and in their communities.
Take just a few seconds. What about high-speed rail?
For high-speed rail, it's segmented right now. The cost, I mean, you know, everything, I come from a business background. For me, I need to see the cost of everything as far as how it's going to be spent, the accountability, and what that's going to bring to this region. If given the privilege of serving, I'm serving the residents of District 5. I got to see how it benefits the residents of District 5.
Susan, take a minute and address trains again, please.
Yeah, so high-speed rail, so the voters voted for it. We voted for $9 billion, it's well over that now. So the governor cutting it down basically puts a backbone into it. And that was the idea, right, that you get the backbone first and the arteries later. So what some of the legislators are now suggesting is we do the arteries first and then connect it to the backbone. So we do ACE across the Altamont, if we do some more with the Bay Area and their expansions that they're doing with BART, if we connect more with Los Angeles and what they're doing, then we get more people used to riding the train. And then when it finally is complete, you've got people ready to ride the train to be able to pay the fares. As it stands now, if we just do the backbone without doing the arteries, I don't think then you're going to motivate people to take the train as it stands right there. So I think reconfiguring how we've conceptualized it to do the arteries first, to connect to the backbone versus the backbone to the arteries. We need to make the train be able to pay itself. You can't have people paying $50 to ride a train from Merced to Bakersfield. It's got to be more cost effective. And so I think being able to increase ridership before you have that part completed will be the way to really transform, I think, how we travel around California.
Kathy?
What we did in our district is we partnered with RTD. Every kid in the district rides the bus free. Every one of them. So that saves money for the families, that they can, you know, take the train or the bus any place they want to. If their kids are getting to school for free, then they've got the extra cash. And no, I don't believe in that high-speed rail. Get some buses on the road. Let them do it.
Jesus, address high-speed rail and ACE, please.
Yeah, so high-speed rail has been one of the biggest, I think, mistakes that's come out of Sacramento recently. I think that money and the billions of dollars could have been used for other infrastructure projects for people that need that infrastructure now. Whether it's existing roads, reservoirs, water infrastructure, I mean, you name it, communications infrastructure. And now the plan of just having to go from Merced to Bakersfield, I think is another mistake that Sacramento's doing. I think it comes down to the jobs, housing balance. I'm now talking specifically about this region and the Valley Link project that Assemblymember Eggman has talked about. It's really about moving and transportation, but I think there's also a jobs balance, an equal balance between the Bay Area and the Central Valley. There's more jobs, less housing in the Bay Area. There's more housing, less jobs here. And so I think one of the things that the next state senator needs to do in the legislature, especially for this area, is figure out how to incentivize and really create more of a balance from both regions, both the Bay Area and here. I think ACE, it's already in existence. I think the next state senator, the legislature just has to make sure that it actually meets the milestones that it needs to meet and it gets moving people back and forth.
Very good. Susan, what is your position on the state's water board's plan to take water from the Stanislaus, Columbia, and Merced rivers?
So I currently serve Assembly District 13, which is centered all around the Delta. So the water issues between the Delta issues and as you go further down, they can be varied. I think what you need your next state senator to do is to be somebody who can bridge the divide, and so we stop fighting about this flow or that flow. I think the governor met with the Valley legislators within the first, or the Delta legislators, which within the first 3 weeks of his administration, and then we saw an end to the twin tunnels. We're now going to come back to the drawing board and come up with a new plan. I think that is the time where we can really stop fighting about who's taking what, and flows and fish versus people. I think we've had enough of division, and I think we need to find ways to bridge those two divides, come up with a plan that actually moves water so agriculture can continue to thrive. I'm the chair of the Agriculture Committee, and I have been the one kind of at the nexus of trying to make sure our ag economy continues to thrive and we continue to save our environment. Those are both, things that we need to do, and we need to do it in ways that maintain our economy.
Do you support the SED?
I support us finding a balance. I support us finding a balance, and with the new administration just coming out with a new decision, I think everything's going to be on hold again for a while until we come back and figure out what the next steps are going to be. I think we saw exactly what people said would happen if SB, what would happen with SB 1 not passing. We talked about voluntary service agreements with water users, and I think what we just saw from the federal administration kind of let us see what we all worried would happen.
Kathy?
The farmers here in the valley need the water. And the people that are on the water board right now, they're just kind of not doing anything. And the farmers are out there, we need the water, we need the water. Well, why are they still talking about the twin tunnels then? You're gonna do this one going that way and this one going this way. Come on, leave the water where it is.
Jesus?
Yes, so for me, I think when it comes to water issues in this area, there's like 3 buckets, right? There's people, there's ag, and then there's environment. And I think in the end, we have to have a robust economy, so we have to think of people in ag, at least in my opinion first, right? I think there's room for the environment. I think there's a space to put the environment where it needs to be, which is a priority, but I think we also have to start from thinking about people and ag and what's best for the economy. The other thing that we're not thinking about, this is back to maybe the high-speed rail thing, is the infrastructure around our levees. We have a weak levee system. I sit on SJAFCA, and we have not done major improvements to the levee system, which is about 1,000 miles of waterways across the Delta and parts of San Joaquin, Sacramento County, Solano. And I think that's something that has to be discussed too, is that it's just also the conveyance and making sure that our water system is working both in the infrastructure and is also, serving the economy.
Very good. Manny?
For this region, obviously, as Senate District 5, opinions differ in different parts of the district, but for our part of the district here, it's our livelihood, it's our lifeblood. When Assemblymember Gray did the water rally up in Sacramento, I was a staunch advocate because I don't feel that it just affects the ag community, it affects the entire community. Whether it's jobs, whether it's commodities, the cost of commodities. So for me, things that we've invested in for this region shouldn't just be mandated by the state and taken over because they feel that it could be better utilized other parts of the state. I think since all the money was spent here, it was built here, we should have the first right to all of that before we start expending or diverting it in different ways. And then also the science behind it. I know there's environmental groups and I respect what their theories are, but we also have to see the science behind it. And we have to rely on that science to see how much it benefits or it doesn't benefit. But we can't put it at the expense of the community and our lifeblood, agribusiness.
Very good. Let's talk a little bit about, let's see the divisions in party here. Manny and Susan are Democrats, Kathy and Jesus are Republicans. We'll start with Kathy and we'll ask you, how can a Republican representative be effective in a Democratic-controlled legislature?
Just like you do in everyday life. Just say what you got to say. Be honest. If I'm a Democrat or if I'm a Republican, doesn't matter.
Well, it will to the people up there.
No, I just think it doesn't matter what you are. Just be honest and do what and however you feel.
Okay, do you have an approach, Jesus?
Yeah.
It can't be an easy thing to be such a minority.
Well, it's not, but it's something I've been doing for 3 years already on the council. There's 4 Republicans, 3 Democrats on the Stockton City Council. And so it's something that I thrive on, it's something that I'm good at building coalitions. Within the council, we have had some dicey issues that have fallen on ideological lines, but nevertheless, I think when we have the interests of our city first, I think you have some good discussions, some good arguments, ultimately good measures and ordinances that are passed. In Sacramento, it is, again, that's why I'm running to end the one-party rule, but I know that it'll take time. And I think one of the things that's unique about this area is that we should be looking at ourselves as a Central Valley block. The Bay Area has a lot of power, Southern California, San Diego, Los Angeles have a lot of power. And so I think the unique thing that Central Valley offers is that both Democrats and Republicans have to really start thinking about what is in the best interest of the Valley, and I'm built for that. That's pretty much what's been my whole life, is building coalitions and really navigating dicey situations. And so for me, it's really about focusing on the issues that I've done on the council, which is bread and butter, tabletop issues, and really understanding that we are in the minority and that building coalitions and reaching across the aisles would be paramount.
Susan and Manny, is it desirable or even necessary to work with Republicans in the state legislature?
Absolutely. I feel that when we get elected to public service, our job is to look at the best interest of the people that we represent. It's not political ideology, especially at a time right now when the nation is divided on political ideology. Some people think things must be this way, some this way. We really have to see what we're there for. Whether we're at city council level, we're at board of supervisors, state level, or even federal level, we're there to represent the people that elected us into the office. So when a decision comes, it's the greatest good for the greatest amount of people. So, sorry to sound cliche, but that's what I feel. I feel that what we can do for the people that we represent. It's not a Republican issue or a Democrat issue. And I think that's where the toxicity is it's a good idea, but since a certain person from a certain party or a certain group brought it up, we're not going to look at it. And I think that's unexcusable. We're there to look at everything to do best for the people that we represent.
Well, anytime I've served in elected office, I represent Democrats and Republicans both. You don't just represent one party, you represent all the people that you're set there to represent. I think I have developed a reputation both on my time in the council and in the state legislature as somebody who works across the aisle, somebody who's a problem solver who gets things done. I have done many bipartisan bills. When we had to negotiate the water bond, I was proud to sit by Kristen Olson, and we were the two people from the Valley area who negotiated the water bond as we won some years back. I've served on the Utilities Committee and on Natural Resources, and we've this year dealt with wildfires and utilities unlike anyone ever thought we'd have to deal with before, and that was an incredibly bipartisan agreements that we came to, working together. And so I have developed a reputation for being a bipartisan problem solver. I hope to continue that. Again, as the Ag Chair, I'm all around the state, meeting with a lot of people, and most of the, most people in agriculture tend to be Republicans and tend to live in more red areas. And I think they deserve as big a voice as anybody else, and I have always used my voice to amplify those who have a smaller voice.
Very good. The outgoing Senator, Kathleen Galgiani, is being termed out. Think of one thing about her work that you approve of, and one thing that you disapprove of. Jesus.
Well, one thing I approve of, I think it's been her ability to sort of buck the party in some sense. I mean, she has a reputation of being a moderate Dem that gets along with business, in ag, and again, the next state senator, which again, this area includes a lot of the ag interests, has to sort of take that approach too. So that's one of the things that I've heard that's pretty well about Senator Galgiani, is that she really has, a good pulse in the district and in Sacramento. Some of the bad things is that inevitably, when you have to vote party line, and I think she's taken some votes that have been, not so good for the area. But I think that's what happens when you have to do party politics. And so I think that's why, again, I'm running, is to be able to have an option for people here. Obviously, she's been a mod Dem for a reason, because it's more of a moderate area, conservative area, so that's the option that I want to bring here.
Yeah, the hard part of this question is just naming one thing. I think she's done a great job, and I'm humbled by the fact that she's endorsed me for this seat to succeed her, and they're big shoes to fill. I think her biggest accomplishment has been in public safety and crime. She's been a staunch advocate. She's had some personal experiences that have, really compelled her to fight for the, for the people that have been neglected or have faced, criminal activity in their daily lives or in their personal lives. Also, she fought for the working class. I mean, the high-speed rail project, for her, it was how do we get people to work? How do we justify the reasoning behind it? That's separate from how she believes in it or why she believes in it, but getting people to work, getting the working class good paying jobs. I think those are two of her really big staple accomplishments. And third, she's worked across party lines. Like the council member just said, this is a moderate district, somebody that's not gonna just look at political ideology, work across the aisle to get things done. And that's what I would really look forward to doing, because for me, it's getting things done, not bickering over which party or who brought up the idea, just getting the thing done.
I think Kathleen, Senator Galgiani has been a tenacious member for this area. I think she brings a huge amount of energy. I've known Kathleen since she was a staffer, and she has always served this valley with pride, with integrity, and I wish her well in whatever her future endeavors. Anything negative, I would just say, she finally got a little dog. She used to always just have cats, and now she's balanced out her life with a dog as well. So I guess now she's achieved greater balance.
She's also done a lot for education. She crossed the line she went both sides of the fence and did what she had to do for education. She was also working hard with crime, I know that. But I think education was one of her biggest things.
All right, now let's shake things up geographically. Manny, what have you been doing to reach out to the voters in San Joaquin County, which has by far more voters in this district than Stanislaus County, where you're from?
Yeah. So I don't think it's a regional issue. I think it's not which part of the district you're in. It's appealing to the voters, resonating with the voters. I've held multiple opportunities to speak to people, and I think the three biggest issues that people have in this district, regardless if they're from Stanislaus County or San Joaquin County, is an opportunity to prosper, an opportunity to make sure that their families are protected, and an opportunity to get the best for their children through education. As a son of immigrants, we came into this region, my parents came here in 1972. I would like to say I'm a product of the American dream. through education, hard work, we've been able to accomplish it. So I've been able to talk to a lot of people in that region, and we feel that we have a lot of support from multiple council members, multiple mayors in the region, Senator Galgiani, Assemblymember Jim Cooper, Assemblymember Adam Gray, both of the sheriffs in the district. So a lot of that gives me some instantaneous opportunities to talk to people and address issues that are important to them, regardless of where they reside.
You three may not be as well known in Stanislaus County, where our core is. What have you been doing to reach out to the people of Stanislaus County? Susan?
Well, I didn't just start recently. I mean, I grew up in this county, I've worked in this county, multiple jobs in this county, and my brother had some endeavors in this county. And I have always been someone, I'm on the Latino caucus, the Women's Caucus, and the LGBT caucus. I'm asked to speak a lot, so I've been up and down this valley speaking for years. And those relationships continue to grow and foster. So I have been out in the district a lot. I'm at crab feeds, I'm at parks, I'm wherever people are gathering. My sincere conviction about public service is that if you want to serve the people, you have to know the people, and the people have to know you. So I have been out meeting with people, talking with people, listening to people, because I think that's one of the key things. We can have all kinds of ideas about what people need and what people want, but when you really sit down and talk with people, I think you get a better sense of how you do that. And for me, it's always like, how do we bridge these divides? How do we continue to elevate the conversations? How do we continue to elevate every community in this district? Not just one or the other, but all of them together. And so I have been using my campaign with everything we have to be able to lift as many people up as possible.
Same question, Kathy, about Stanislaus County.
I just finished working down here for 17 years, so every day I was here and I spent a lot of time in Modesto, met a lot of people, and I come back here in a hot minute. That's how I got to meet all the people down here.
Tell us where you worked.
I worked for Luxury Limousine. I drove a limousine.
Ah, very good. Jesus?
Yeah, so Modesto is very important, and I'm not a stranger to Modesto. My teenage years and my dad's business, we grew up harvesting grapes and tomatoes in the Patterson area, Newman, all across Stanislaus County. And then teenage years playing sports, playing against Davis, Johansson, Modesto Christian, Central Catholic, you name it, got a lot of friends still there in the Modesto area. I came here as a teenager too because of the mall. You guys have the best mall, better than Stockton's mall, I admit that, unfortunately. So we spent a lot of time here with my family. Since being on the campaign trail, I mean, I reached out to community groups here in the area, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce's, a couple of some of the groups out here, done some crab feeds. Spent a lot of time just really thinking about some of the issues that Modesto is struggling with, and really it mirrors what's happening in San Joaquin County. I think the northern San Joaquin Valley has very similar issues. I think one of the, especially when it comes to ag and water, it's just the delta. I think there's that little bit of a difference, but other than that, the ag issues are cross boundaries, social issues. I mean, we have the worst education systems nationally. Stockton ranks 146 and Modesto ranks 144 out of the 150 largest metros in the country, and so there's a lot of similarities.
Good. Susan, how might we attract more decent wage jobs to the valley?
We need to continue, I think we need to continue what we're doing, because they are coming, especially around the Tracy-Manteca corridor. They continue to come. I continue to have uptake in healthcare jobs, as well as ag technology jobs, and a lot of startup companies are also moving our way. One of the things I mentioned before is that we continue to hear about an educated workforce. Delta has really taken the lead on getting out in front of that, especially with the trades. I think we need to work with our trades. I think we need to work with our educational system, because what we need to do is prepare people for the next economy. The CSU I envision having would be something like a Cal Poly. I think that's where our future job-wise is going, and that's what we need to match the education to, so we have people ready for those jobs. I mean, that's why people, there's more of the jobs in the Bay Area, just because there's a more educated workforce to be able to have these kinds of jobs. But as they continue to move out, and again, they are, and that's one of the number one things I hear, we need the educated workforce, is to really work on with our school districts and our community colleges to make that entryway into the educated workforce.
Bringing jobs to the valley, Kathy.
Susan is right about we need another university in this area. If we could get one in Stockton, I got the place for you to put it too. We would be able to educate that many more people, but Delta College has come out and they're swinging. They want you, and they want you, everybody to get in there. And they're not just going for English and math and all that stuff. If you wanna be a welder, if you wanna be a carpenter, whatever, even the unions are out with all these trade for everybody. Just be more educated, that's the big thing.
Yeah, similar sentiments. It's a public school system. One of the things that I made a goal for myself as a council member is I don't have direct authority over the school districts in Stockton, but I want to influence that. And so one of the things I did was build a organization called Stockton Schools Initiative to be able to influence policy. The goal is ambitious, is to build a world-class education system in the middle of Central Valley. Like I said earlier, we rank 146 in Stockton, 144 in Modesto. I think when businesses are looking at the workforce, they're looking at those measures, and families for that matter are looking at those measures. The other thing that I think we have to start focusing on is career technical education, and really reforming our high schools to also be college-going ready. And one of the things that the Stockton Schools Initiative passed was a A through G for all requirement of the Stockton School District. But I think we also are missing that piece, is the career technical education. So really working, with the Bay Area and some of the businesses there, and what are some of the things that they're looking for so that we can prepare our students from high school for those jobs. I think as much as a college degree is important, I think with the changing economy, I think also being able to get a job right away, a living wage job, a beyond living wage job is very important as well. So school districts and reforming our schools.
Yes, much of the same sentiments. I think as the cost of living keeps increasing in the Bay Area, people are seeing that their dollar goes a lot further here. In our business, my wife and I run a chain of dental offices, and we're seeing people that have graduate degrees in dentistry or medicine. They're seeing that it's easier to raise a family on an income here because it's easier to afford a house, it's easier for other amenities that one would have in their life. So those are the things. And then trade schools, I mean, again, it's always a partnership here with the county, Stanislaus County Office of Education, the Bolt Institute. I think that's what's happening a lot, is a lot of our skilled trade workers are going across to Altamont. Those jobs are available here. I mean, we're in construction, we're seeing, looking for an electrician, looking for a plumber. Those are good paid jobs that we just don't have the workforce for now. So if we can have that career technical education in this region, I think it will just help people gravitate towards this region because of the cost of living. It's still, even though it's going up, it's still reasonably affordable compared to the Bay Area.
Let's try to make this a 30-second answer if you could. Should more local communities assume control over electricity production from PG&E? Kathy?
Yes, oh my God, my PG&E bill is so high, and I don't have 10 kids in my house. I don't understand it. We need to control something.
Okay, Jesus?
I think that's a conversation that should continue to be had. I don't know exactly if more local control is going to equal to lower bills. I mean, that's really, or lower costs at this point. I think it's something that we have to remain vigilant over in the legislature, is if that truly is going to reduce costs for the taxpayer and the ratepayer. I think in theory it sounds great. I think in practice I'm not sure if that's something that can be done right away. But in theory it sounds great, but I think it's just a lot of infrastructure that needs to be talked about.
Manny?
Yeah, discussion of what the impediments may be, impediments and how you practicalize that. I think MID is kind of already doing that in this region, but I'm sure there's other parts of the state where it's happening. Got to see how that's affecting us negatively, or we also don't want to monopolize the system as well, where some people say that PG&E kind of has throughout the state. So those are discussions that we need to continue to have to see how efficient and effective it would be for a local community and how we could partake in that process.
It is, as we all said, it is complicated. So I said on utilities, and we have had multiple discussions about PG&E and the power issues around power. MID, TID, there are places that do it on their own. South San Joaquin Irrigation District is currently in negotiations and lawsuits to be able to do our own. I think what you need to be careful of, PG&E just does Northern California, but a lot of that area is where some of the worst wildfires occur. So if you let every city and county do their own power, you're leaving the vast majority of mountain land just to PG&E. And we know as a public utility, if it doesn't pencil out, they're not gonna be able to do it. We need to keep transmission lines open, so I think everything needs to be on the table.
Okay. Who do you support in the race for Congressional District 10? Jesus,
Supporting Marta Living.
living good. Any?
Josh,
Harder?
Josh Hart.
Harder? Are you supporting someone, Kathy,
Yes, yes.
in a congressional race?
Well, I'm hoping McNerney's gonna run again.
Okay,
I'm thinking he will.
all right. How about we'll have you say something positive about each of your opponents? Who did we start with last time? Jesus, Manny?
I think Assemblymember Eggman has done a great job in the Assembly. I think she could have accomplished a lot more in the Assembly. I think she was already chair of many different committees. I don't know how the structure works in the Senate. If you restart, I guess I could learn that. But you know, when I started running for this seat 3 years ago, Assemblymember Eggman wasn't running at that time. I think things have changed in her personal life that she has, but I spoke to her and asked her, you know, if I got the opportunity to serve alongside with her, what things I could do or help in and assist in. Because for me, it's, you know, that's why they did the term limits where it doesn't matter which house you're in. And I think you can accomplish both in the same house. So I asked for that when she decided to run for the state senate, but I think in the Assembly, she's focused on some things I don't agree with, obviously. But I think there's some things that she's done really well as far as mental health and things like that. I appreciate all the work she's done on that.
Susan?
Saying something nice about everybody?
If you
Was that my
if you
compliment?
can, yes.
Yeah, I think Kathy has done a fantastic job on Stockton Unified. I think they have a new superintendent in, who's controversial. They had the courage to bring him on, and I think he's done positive things. I think Jesus has been very active in South Stockton. I think that's great, and I think Manny has, you know, I think he when he came and talked to me, he had a lot of powerful feelings about running, being in the Modesto City Council and what he could do from there. So I think anybody who throws their hat in the ring to be a public servant, we should all, like, you know, it's easy for everyone to throw stones from the outside. It's harder to get in yourself and do it. So for anybody who decides to run for office, because we know people will be throwing stones at us as soon as, you know, we get in, and it's not always pretty. But I think if you want to serve people, you have to have a little bit of tough skin to be able to take it, because people have hard lives every day, right? The people that we're serving. So for us to be able to take a little of the backlash is okay. And I think anybody who throws their hat into the ring to run should be given respect for having that courage.
Kathy, you seem rather positive. Can you say something nice about these people?
Of course I can. Susan called me this morning and told me what color to wear. I think she's done an excellent job in Stockton, and I hope she gets that university, because I got the place for her to put it.
Yeah, great question. I'll just go down the line. Kathy, great heart. I mean, she's been involved in Stockton for a long time. Very storied his background, limo driver for 16 years. I think that's pretty unique. And I think she has her heart in the right place. Assemblywoman Eggman, if it weren't for her, I think the CSU Stockton discussion would have not really solidified even more as it is now. And I also give credit to her and Mayor Tubbs for really pushing that conversation forward in Sacramento. I think Manny's done this tremendous job of building quite a business for himself here and his family in the area, and I know he's a big believer in his faith and the Punjabi culture and Sikh, and I think that's something that is very admirable to be able to put that on your shoulders and carry it forward. And so I think these are great candidates.
Well, I'd feel remiss if I didn't get to say anything about the other two, because I just left it with seven.
Sure, we'll give you 20 seconds.
Everything I've read about Kathy Garcia, her service on and being president this year, congratulations, speaks volumes, showing that she shows that leadership. And then on a personal note with Jesus, just since the campaign, I think we've been running now for about 18 months. Every time I see him at an event, very personable, get the opportunity. It's not like we're running against each other, it's having discussions. Multiple times he said, hey, come down to Modesto, what are you guys doing with the homelessness issue? I reach out to him on things. So that's what I think is most important, when we put politics aside and just, you know, respect one another as human beings, and I appreciate all three of them, because I think all of them have done it.
Susan, should hydroelectricity be considered as renewable green energy?
Big hydro or small hydro?
Big hydro.
Big hydro. I think we need to have everything in the bucket. I know a lot of the environmentalists don't like some of the big ones, but I think I'm also a big supporter of bioenergy, biomass. Right now, when we can't keep having open burns like we have right now. So yes, and I will be the author of some big legislation coming forward this year as we talk about storage, right? It's not just enough to create the energy, we have to have a place to be able to store it, because we need a certain base load all the time to keep the lights on. And we know in California, when things peak, we're offloading energy because we have too much. We don't have places to store it. So there's something called, we need to have a higher, we'll go to technical terms, but higher capacity storage. So yes, I think everything needs to be on the table when we're talking about keeping the lights on and power. And every community should be a winner in that. And it shouldn't just be what's least expensive, which is solar right now.
I'm going to ask the other candidates to throw in storage too, if you would like to address that. Is hydroelectricity the kind that's made from dams? Is that green, renewable energy?
Yes, it is. But it's like Susan said, if we don't have any place to store it, what are we gonna do with it? Give it back? No, you can't give it back. We've got all these wind machines out in the, when you go across Highway 12, and all the property is taken up with these, I call them umbrellas, but they're not umbrellas, they're windmills out there. So where's it gonna be stored?
Hydroelectricity and storage.
Yeah, I echo some of the sentiments about we have to have all things on the table, especially with the wildfires that are just increasing throughout. It seems like the last couple of 10 years, even when a fire stops burning, there's still a lot of carbon dioxide and everything that really lets out into the atmosphere. So we have to keep portfolio of clean energy, discussions around that, existing energy, and really making sure that things pencil out and it's the best course of action for residents in California and the ratepayers. And so I think it's an item that needs to be on the table. It's an item that needs to be discussed. And storage is also very important. Like I said, we're not building enough dams anymore or reservoirs to be able to even talk about that. So I think, again, I don't want to beat a dead horse with the high-speed rail, but I think those are the discussions that we need to have is about storage and energy.
Yes, absolutely agree, and also agree that no discussion, nothing should be left out of the discussion. I feel sometimes some benefit when there's a certain segment of a discussion, not the full discussion, but this needs to be a very involved discussion on how we do storage for, everybody, for it to be fair and equitable to all.
Short answers this time. Who do you support for U.S. President? Kathy?
Cory Booker, but he dropped out.
Oh, too bad. Yeah.
I'll be supporting the Republican nominee. I think the alternative is not what the country needs. And so for me, as a Republican elected official, I'll do what I can to support the Republican nominee, which it seems that more and more these days is going to be President Trump. I don't always agree with in fact, I don't agree with, especially his rhetoric. But when I think about the long term of this country, we have a great economy. It's coming. President Trump will have 4 more years at most, and then we'll be able to move forward. And I think, so that's my answer.
Thank you.
Former Vice President Joe Biden, I think his years of service, I think his ability to work with both sides is something that's very appealing to me. I think he has the experience on foreign policy, and so that who I would be supporting if he makes it out as the Democratic nominee out. And if not, then whoever the Democratic nominee would be, I would be supportive of it.
I was an early endorser of Senator Kamala Harris, and I have not recommitted to somebody else. I have definitely heard from and been in touch with all of the Democratic candidates, and I have not committed to anybody else yet. I'll be eager to watch the debate tonight and see how it goes.
Very good. What sets you apart from these other people at the table? Jesus.
Again, they have a great background in terms of they're bringing their values and beliefs and ideas into the table. I think mine are really rooted in Central Valley values, ideas, having an immigrant background, and really looking at being in this country as an opportunity to move forward. My family comes from literally the phrase dirt poor. And so being in this country has been an awesome opportunity. One of the things I want to do is extend that. right? And I think my ability to work across the aisle is very prevalent in my ability to get things done in Stockton, the city council. And again, for me, it's really about looking at what's best for this district. I'm not interested in going up to Sacramento and being a partisan warrior or really doing everything that the party in power wants to do, which I don't often think is in the best interest of Central Valley. So for me, my outlook is here to leverage whatever I can do in Sacramento to really improve the district. But I throw some stats out, and I think we need a legislature that's focused on the district and not in positions in Sacramento.
Very good. Before the others answer, I'm gonna say the next question is the closing statement. We're gonna, now that I see how the rotation has ended up, we're gonna start over here with Jesus and go this way.
So is that the closing statement?
No,
Okay.
but the next question will be the
All right,
closing
all right.
statement. Didn't make that very clear, did I?
All right.
Back to what sets you apart from the other candidates?
Appreciate the question. So I touched on it a little bit. As a son of immigrants, my parents were farm workers when they came into this country through hard work, giving my brother and I the opportunity to obtain the education that we needed. We've been successful. We are living the American dream. We've been blessed. And for me, running a business, creating jobs, those things that I've done in my life as, a civil servant and as a citizen. I've had to make the tough decisions. How I'm gonna make payroll, how I'm gonna pay for everybody's workman's comp. Sometimes I'm the last person being paid, but I wanna make sure that I'm doing the same thing when I'm up in Sacramento to be respectful of people's hard work, earned taxpayers' money. I'm not gonna spend it in a manner that is negligent. And I haven't done that with my business, and I don't do that, we won't be doing that with the citizens of Senate District 5. And I think that's what sets me apart, creating jobs, building businesses, creating opportunities for people that I've employed or worked with.
What sets you apart, Susan?
I guess I would say a lifetime of service and experience. Again, from the time I was a kid, I have been involved in public service. I have not gone out and made a bunch of money to be able to self-fund myself. I have served people and communities my entire life. I think I come with the most experience. I think I bring the most balance to the equation. Again, having grown up in San Joaquin, Stanislaus County, having represented San Joaquin County since 2006, both at the local level and now at the state level. I think the relationships I've been able to develop will really help us get things done. I think some of the big things I've been able to do, like getting attention for a CSU, getting the Valley Link authorized, starting the Discovery Challenge program, which wasn't even in my district, but it's in the Manteca area, but that is the National Guard program for kids to live in, turn their lives around. Doing $1 billion solar bill for low-income housing. I think I have proven that I have the ability to get things done, and I want to continue that progress further down into the valley. It shouldn't just stop at the San Joaquin boundary, but it should go all the way down to Stanislaus and throughout the valley.
Very good. What sets you apart, Kathy?
I could say I'm the oldest. I've got more grandkids than anybody else. I've got more kids than anybody else. But no, it's because I love what I do. I love being around the kids every day. We have a prom dress closet. I've got 600 gallons to dress kids for the prom this year. Last year we did 217. This year we're gonna triple that. Got the shoes, everybody's going to the prom. I go out and I beg from every one of you. I need 100, I need 50, I need 200. The proms are paid for when I get done, and that's what I look for.
Very good. Closing statements, we'll reverse the order this one time only. Jesus, Kathy, Susan, Manny.
All right, so again, thank you to Modesto Bee for the opportunity to speak to voters and viewers online and for candidates who are also here to participate. I think, I've tried hard to distinguish myself from the other candidates. I think the viewers and the voters will have distinct options to choose from as far as who's going to be the next state senator for this area. Again, for me, what's important is not to be, a partisan leader, but to really do what's best for this district. And I've said it's tabletop issues. This is an area that's cares a lot about family, cares a lot about jobs, cares a lot about industry. in transportation. I've gotten the endorsement from the California GOP, both central committees, all three central committees within the district. And I'm doing everything I can on the ground to make sure I bridge that gap with voters from even the Democratic Party, who I know will support my candidacy. I'm just a straight shooter. Again, I wear my interest on the sleeves, and so you get what you get with me.
Thank you. Kat?
I believe in what we're doing. Every one of us is here because you guys invited us. So we're here to answer your questions, to give everybody the opportunity. You've got a choice. Don't have to go this way, or this way, or this way, or this way. But you all have a choice when you're talking to us. And this is an opportunity for us to get out there and show you what we can do. We're not out there ice skating in front of you or doing flips or anything like that. We're honest people. We're gonna prove to you that we're going to do the best we can in anything we try. And we're here to represent District 5.
Thank you.
Thank you to Modesto Bee and to the viewers who came on to watch. I always have a lot of trust in the voters, and I think they are intelligent folks who will check us all out. Again, it has been my honor to serve both on the Stockton City Council and now in the state legislature. I think my work as a social worker and mentoring young people kind of puts me apart. I think none of us come here on our own. We all stand on the backs of the work that has been done, and I think every bit of work that we do now is also for the future. So I think the person that's going to be able to provide the vision about where this valley is going, how we continue to have our voice in Sacramento be reflective of the whole state. We can't be proud to say California is the golden state if there's a coastal California and a central California. We need to have all the opportunities in central California as they have in coastal California, and I think I have been an incredibly strong advocate to bring that attention here, to make people pay attention to our resources, not just our needs, but also what we bring to the state of California. It would be my honor to serve as your next senator.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to the Modesto Bee, all the viewers. It's a great opportunity to have some good dialogue with everybody that's running for the Senate district. For me, I believe elected service, public service is a privilege. It's an honor. I've been doing it at the Modesto City Council. Look forward to doing it in the state legislature. One of the main things that I'm running for is to be a voice for the valley. And for people that have supported me in the valley, having the endorsement of Kathleen Galgiani, Adam Gray, Jim Cooper, both of the sheriffs, firefighters, that just really strengthens my message. I want to be somebody that's going to be able to work with everybody, promote public safety, good paying jobs in the region. My reason for running is those main reasons, to be a good public servant, and if given the privilege of serving, and I am also very trusting of the voters, they know who's going to be able to best represent them, and I would be appreciative and be honored to represent them as the next senator from State Senate District 5.
All of you are public servants currently. We appreciate your service. We appreciate your coming here and discussing the issues with us. This concludes our discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.